Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Five Star Revolution podcast. I am your host, CJ Price, and thank you for listening to the Five Star Revolution podcast. Make sure you go over to the Facebook page, Five Star Revolution. If we reach 1,000 likes by the end of this year, I'm giving away $100 Visa gift card. So get to it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Five Star Revolution Podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest, and his name is Brandon Wolfe. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for so much for taking the busy time out of your schedule to joining us here tonight.
It's my pleasure. I'm very happy to be here.
So I always ask this question to every wrestler who comes on this podcast, and you're going to be no different. I would like to know how you got into the professional wrestling business.
Well, how I got into professional wrestling business involves like how you get into professional wrestling. I was a fan. When I grew up, I went through a lot of therapy, a lot of speech therapy, a lot of physical therapy, and wrestling helped me get through it and always inspired me to go further down into what I needed to accomplish. And I'm in the business to just inspire people like how I was. And I'm very proud that I've been able to do so throughout the past few years.
So you've been in the wrestling business for about 3 years now, right?
About 3 years. I started training in October of 2017.
So in 3 years, I've seen that you wrestled in a lot of places already. You
I've
wrestled.
been in a lot of places in Kentucky. I wrestled out this past Saturday. It's uploaded on YouTube right now. It's called Action Plus for New South over in Alabama. And I just want to keep growing in places I've gone to.
So in the 3 years that you've been in the wrestling business, how you grew so fast? How'd you get into all those promotions so quickly?
Just having a good mentality and having a good mindset, but being very humble, being a very good person around the right people. And I was trained by Christian James, and he would straighten me out if I had an ego. And trust me, the last thing I want to have, and I want to see anyone have in this business, is an ego. There's no egos in this business. You have to be humbled and you have to be respectful.
So can you tell us a little bit about who Brandon Wolfe is and what he is about in the ring?
Brandon Wolfe is a interesting type of individual. You really don't know what to expect that much when you see a 5'8" guy that's 160 pounds. You always think of a high flyer. You always obviously think of a guy that can move around really quick. I can, but I want to show more. I want to show I can be a grappler. I can be a technician in the ring, and I can be a good striker. So I like to have a very unpredictable variation of moves in the ring. So I would just say unpredictable. As a competitor, I always want to win. I always want to show people what I can do.
So what can we expect out of you then in the next 3 years? What can we expect out of Brandon Wolfe in the future?
Most likely, I will be shooting. I live in Bowling Green, Kentucky, about an hour away from Nashville. I think it would be really cool to be part of Impact Wrestling. I think it would be really cool to be a part of AEW. I think it'd be really cool to be part of a lot of promotions down in the future to get my name out, but I want to earn it. I don't want to just be handed down. And I apologize. Always downstairs. I don't know what they're doing.
It's okay, man. No worries. In this podcast, anything can happen. Even a little kid can pass by. It's okay.
Does
So, Mr. Brandon Wolfe, can who do you look up to in the wrestling business today?
look in the wrestling business today? That's actually a very good question. I it's kind of hard because I'll look at Will Ospreay when he got into the business at first, he's kind of like me. He was a bit skinny. he was this massively good high flyer, really incredible acrobat. In the past few years, we've seen him develop into this completely skilled and powerful individual, just very good in the ring. And AJ Styles is very good as well. But the man I would say at the very top of my list is Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson now, because very similar in size wise, and I just love his work in Ring of Honor. I loved how he's developed over the past few years.
If you could change something in the world of professional wrestling, what would it be?
Huh. That would Eddie passing away. Eddie Guerrero passing away. If it was like something specific like that, it would be that. It would be to see what would happen if Eddie was still alive.
Who's your all-time favorite wrestler growing up?
Actually, it was Eddie Guerrero, and when he passed away, sadly on my birthday on November 13th, Daniel Bryan became a very solid favorite when in 2014 when I was trying to look up some people and when I saw a lot of Ring of Honor matches, I was hooked.
So, what made you get into the business? Like, what made you think that, hey, I can do that?
Inspire people. Like I've said, I went through a lot of therapy, and wrestling inspired me to get through a lot of things that were very much of a challenge, like going out in public, like going to the mall, going to stores. I'm I want to be in the business to inspire people the way I was. And
So, so I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, sir.
oh, you're good. It's when I'm the happiest when I see I inspired a kid was one that dressed just like me, and it was very very cool.
So, would you say that you're a face nowadays?
Face in the New South Action Plus was a heel. Kind of don't know what to expect really. The,
What do you enjoy doing more?
I enjoy being a face because you get to have a connection with the crowd. As a heel, you don't have a lot of holdbacks. The only thing you can have a holdback of is what to say specifically, like no swearing, or Dan House will come after you. No flip offs, no punches or anything. Like there have been some times where you have to be very, you're restricted to the heel what not to do. But there have been times you're just being laid back. It's very easy to get a reaction of the crowd when you can genuinely feel a connection and you can take it. And I didn't do much in a New South match other than a few things. And I yelled a bit, but I didn't yell words at times. I just yelled to get the reaction. And when I finally felt the hook, it was very easy.
How do you feel when fans come up to you and ask for your autograph or ask for a picture?
Humble. And I will gladly do it.
Do you see yourself, like you said that you want to go to AEW and Impact? Do you see yourself really going there down the road? Is that your main goal?
Yeah. As of right now, my one true like the main tip top goal right now is if I ever get to there is be in New Japan. And I stand across from Hiromu Takahashi. That's
Okay.
cool. When I started developing a little bit of the character I have, it was a mixture of him, a little bit of Marty Scroll, a little bit of Daniel Bryan, a little bit, but Hiromu was always a main factor in that area. So I wanted to be cool, but also a big blessing if I could ever have a chance to stand across from him.
Sounds good. Are you a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan, right? I'm assuming.
Yes.
And what gravitates you to New Japan other than WWE or Impact or AEW?
Basically how they've been able to develop stars, how they've been able to have wrestlers. I mean, if you look over the past few years, they have developed names from Hiromu Takahashi, Jay White, Goto, and a lot of just if you look through a vast majority, they all went through the dojo, they all went through the school, and you can still see bits like even now, people rising in their dojo, people rising as good names, and it's amazing how you see people grow from that day as a young lion to now. Like Jay's awesome. Jay White is spectacular in the ring when you watch him, and knowing when he came from then to now, it's incredible.
If would you say that wrestling has changed your life personally? If so, how?
Yes, because it gave me a very big will to keep going. When I didn't socialize that much. I had friends, but I didn't really get to do a lot of things with. And I just wanted to be alone for a lot of times. I wanted to just not be around people. And wrestling was always there to comfort me up. Wrestling was always there alongside therapy, was just to make me happy and make me enjoy life a lot more than people would ever think. And it's very tough for me to let go of wrestling as of now. And it's very a big waking up moment every day, just knowing that I'm a part of something I've loved for years and very proud of being in.
How would you grade a product nowadays?
WWE, I would not. I don't watch it. I haven't watched it. I had a friend, well, former friend, now like a mortal enemy to me. He wanted to watch the pay per views, and we were like, "Oh yeah, yeah," and now we're like, "No." And now that we despise each other, we're like, "Nah, I don't want to." I haven't. I'll watch some highlights. I'll watch some this and that. I'll watch Blake Christian, or people know him as their Trey Braddocks, because I was around him before he started making waves in GCW over in USA Championship Wrestling in Tennessee. I'm very proud of what he's able to accomplish, and I hope he succeeds in what he wants to do and he has a good career there.
Besides the big time promotions like WWE, Impact, and AEW, are there any independent wrestling promotions that you have your eye on that you want to debut at?
Well, I just did in New South. New South, I had a very keen eye on, and it just I think it will vary as I go. AAW, there's some places in Chicago. Um, would I like to go? I would like to go back to IWA Mid South when I can. Um, Game Changer Wrestling. I'm not much of the deathmatch person. I'm not much of a guy that will. It's not for me personally. I like hardcore, but the glass tubes, thumbtacks, and barbed wire, they have their own audience. They have their selective crowds, and they have it's enjoyment to people to watch those time matches. And there's good stories behind them, and to them, like they would love to. And if I ever had a chance to get reached out about Game Changer Wrestling, I might go. I'll take the chance and go. And Warrior Pro up in Chicago is one of the places, if I believe. But there's just a few right now. That'll be it. I'm
What would you, what would you say is the hardest part of being a wrestler?
the hardest part of being a wrestler is probably like being a singer. It's like being a DJ or being a massive want to be a massive star. You gotta go through the ground up, and that is just timing. Timing just takes a while. You're not going to be instantly making all your money or all the the famous moments. They're not going to happen instantly. They're going to happen in time. So at times, like I have an actual job. I work Monday to Friday, and I'm very happy I have that job. I love it. At times I come home tired, but at times I go to shows after work, and I go right back to work early in the morning the next day. I still love my job, but there's a moment where I'm like, if I ever, and hopefully, uh, get something big that happens that I can actually turn into week notice, it'll be where I know I've made it, and I've made it in a very positive, good way.
So with only 3 years in the business, you're still kind of new. How do you deal with backstage politics?
It depends. Um, you sometimes you have to go the old-fashioned way. You do it with your fist. Sometimes you're gonna have to get physical to fight for what you want, and sometimes you're just gonna have to talk it over. Um, I haven't experienced too much into the politics. I've seen some, but as politic wise, uh, there's days where it could happen, but I'd rather, if it does, just talk it over. Just talk over the politics side and just kind of find the middle ground.
What's going through your head before a match, before you step through that curtain?
What can I do that can make the crowd go, when's the last time I saw that? There's moments, I'll bring up the show Action Plus for New South. New South Championship Wrestling, where I got trained at. It's over in Franklin, Kentucky, over in Big B Pro Wrestling. But Action Plus got uploaded. You see a missile drop kick from the top rope. When I connected, usually you see a guy land on their butt, they land on the back. I landed planted on my feet after I connected with it. When's the last time you seen that?
I haven't seen it in a while.
That's exactly. Um, and I did something else that made people. I want them to go home like that was really neat. Like I haven't seen that in years, and it's kind of cool to actually see that again. Or like I've never seen it before in my life. That's really neat. Like doing a clothesline while the guy sat on the mat with his back against a bottom rope. I did a clothesline sliding through the bottom rope, but as I connected, you can hear that smack across his chest with a clothesline. Rolled him over, and then I did a springboard elbow drop where I used my leg momentum to come this way in that direction, bring all the momentum out to his gut when I did the elbow drop. So
So
I want people. The main goal is to I want you to feel an emotion, but I want you to also think of like when's the last time I saw that because I want to be the most unique person when I go out.
so how do you handle constructive criticism when you mess up in a match?
Take it. You take it. You learn from it. You almost like beat like a dead horse. You have to make sure it doesn't happen again. I I've had my scolding moments of being criticized for a lot of quite a few things. Of slowing down was a massive one, and I'm very patient worker now. I'm very good at pacing myself and not doing the same mistake twice.
What would you say to that Brandon Wolfe who just started wrestling, that who the Brandon Wolfe is now?
Every idea you have in your head, be patient. Everything you want to do, wait. Be good at the basics, understand psychology, know when to place things in a match perfectly, and most importantly, have fun. There's going to be your down times. There's going to be moments where it's going to be a very humbling state, but it's going to be all worth it when you see those people smile, when you see those people give you the reaction that you've been asked to do. It's made to make others enjoy life. So enjoy it.
What motivates you to keep going? What motivates you to keep wrestling?
I haven't quit now. I don't plan on the future. I spent years since I was 6 wanting to do this, and I didn't put in all this time and effort in developing the character I am today just to hang him up and quit. I'm going to stay in it for as long as I have to.
Who's your dream opponent and why?
Roman Takahashi big character as to why I do certain few things, but he's really just one of my main favorites that I've always thought of, like, be really awesome to, and a privilege to stand across from him. Jay White's mini me in a tag match when I grow my hair out again, because I got described as Jay White a few times when I grew my hair out really long. Trey Braddocks, if I ever go to WWE, Trey Braddocks, also known as Blake Christian, and Ace Austin.
Okay, very interesting choices. I would love to see all those matches. And if you had to give one piece of advice to somebody that wants to get into the professional wrestling business, what would it be?
Don't come in with an ego. Don't come in thinking you're gonna do this, this, and this. Don't think that you're gonna be doing what you want. This is in my opinion, is like, you're gonna be doing the first 2 years what people think is best for you to do. And you're gonna think to yourself, why am I doing this? This sounds stupid. But it's gonna make sense. Trust and emotion. It's gonna make sense at some point. When you're in the right hands, don't go to some random person down the street and asking for wrestling advice or be coach. Go to an actual place to train with some good hands. I had a very good trainer in Christian James. I had a very good hand in people being around me, like Damian Wayne, Cash Flow, Chase Stevens, back when, he was a part of TNA, with the Naturals. I've had a lot of good hands with me to guide me in the right direction. And Derek Neal, I love Derek Neal, and there's just, keep a good head.
Have you had the chance to share the backstage locker room with any veterans or any legends that we might know?
Congo Kong, if you remember him back into his Impact days. Animal, before he passed away, I did a show with him in Lebanon. He didn't wrestle, but he did a meet and greet. Tommy Rich, I was Jerry Lawler for just a brief moment. Let's say Jimmy Hart, Earl Hebner, and New South Championship Wrestling. This is where I've been around quite a lot of them. Hillbilly Jim here in Kentucky. That's where I'm at. I've seen him a few times, and my favorite is Tracy Smothers. I've had the massive privilege being around Tracy Smothers before he passed away, and I actually was around him while he still had his first run of cancer, and it tore my heart up when I heard he had it again, and he passed away.
Yeah, I heard that news too, and rest in peace to Mr. Tracy Smothers. God rest his soul. My next question to piggyback on that is, did you get to pick any other brains or ask them questions about the professional wrestling business?
Not at the time. I asked Earl Hebner some things, and I've gone, but I'm more like the sit and relax, sit down, mouth shut, ears open, because you can get a lot more listening to the environment of the locker room than you can trying to ask some questions. It's not bad to ask questions, but for me, in my mistake doing this, didn't ask questions sometimes. I just went out there, did my job, sat down, heard the critiques of people that came up to me and told me what not to do and how to do better at this and what I did good at this moment and just things to improve on. Asking questions was kind of not much of what I did.
Okay. So a couple more questions before I let you go, Mr. Brandon Wolfe. If there's one thing that you learned in the professional wrestling business that you carry on to your life, what would that be?
No matter how hard things get, no matter how tough an obstacle can be, no matter how long the drive will take, as long as you keep your head up, as long as you kind of know where that destination is, where it'll lead to, hold a smile, and things will be okay.
Last question is, what do you say to those fans or to those critics that think wrestling's fake?
Come to training. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say I'll prove it to you in person. I was like, come training, because I said this in an interview for WBKO 13. I don't know why the video got taken down the website, but I said like Chris Michaels. Chris Michaels was another legend I've been around and got to help when he did some coaching classes, and that is come take a chop, come get slammed, come hit the ropes, do all that over and over and over again, and understand that's what we go through on a weekly to nightly basis.
And where can our listeners and your fans and your followers reach you on social media?
My Facebook page is Brandon Wolfe. Instagram is Brandon Wolfe Wrestler. Twitter, it's at Brandon Wolfman. And TikTok is Brandon Wolfe Wrestler.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brandon Wolf. We appreciate your time here on the Five Star Revolution podcast. It was a true pleasure. Thank you for sharing your stories, and all of you listeners, just subscribe to our YouTube channel, Five Star Revolution Podcast. Follow us on Facebook, like our Facebook page, and share. Five Star Revolution Podcast. Mr. Brandon Wolf, thank you so much. I hope you have a great night, sir.
You too, man. Everyone, be safe. Have a good day.